Ncuti Gatwa will not be filming any more Doctor Who this year, and that kind of increases the possibility that he's regenerating at the end of this season. Hello, welcome to Culture Filter. I am Phil, and this is where I talk about all the geeky pop culture I like, including Doctor Who. Now, some news got released this morning, and it was casting news, but not for Doctor Who, for a Royal Shakespeare Company production of something. A play about Shakespeare and Christopher Marlowe. And who's playing Christopher Marlowe? Well, it's Ncuti Gatwa. And this is relevant because it kind of tells us that Ncuti will not be filming any Doctor Who this year, or at least not until the end of the year at best, which kind of leads me to increase my likelihood of predicting that he is indeed going to leave at the end of this season. It's not a certainty, but this has increased it a lot. Let's look at why. So this article talks about how he's just been cast in this new Royal Shakespeare Company play. Sounds like an interesting play about Shakespeare himself and the writing process and his rivalry with Christopher Marlowe, who I believe is the playwright that Ncuti is playing in this play. The important information, though, is when this play is on. It is on between mid-August and what will be about mid-October. It's on for 11 weeks. That's roughly 3 months, which means Ncuti would not be available at all in that time. But not only in that time, because of course plays have to rehearse beforehand. Now, how long professional plays rehearse for before they go out to the public does vary. I would say the average is somewhere between 4 and 6 weeks, sometimes stretching to 8, maybe, possibly. You might get 2 months of rehearsals for a professional production in some instances, if there's a lot to choreograph, if there's a lot to move around, if it's a big script. But it's going to be at least a month of rehearsals, which means July is out for filming anything either. And we have been told multiple times that we're not even getting a decision on commissioning until season 2 has gone out, which means the end of May. So if Ncuti's starting to rehearse in July, we don't get a decision on commissioning until the end of May. That only leaves June, where he would possibly be free to do anything. And you can't mount a whole series, pre-production, filming, and everything in 1 month. So there are things we can assume from this. There are things that are almost certain. For instance, there's not going to be a Christmas special with Ncuti Gatwa in it. There would not be enough time to film it. That's almost a guarantee. He has no time to film that before going into his play. And after the play, there wouldn't be enough time to film it and do all the post-production of it to get it out for Christmas. So the one thing we can definitely say is there is no Ncuti Gatwa starring Christmas special this year. I think now the likelihood is that he is regenerating, in which case there is a possibility we get a different Doctor starring Christmas special, but I think even that is possibly very unlikely at this stage. Now, I don't want to be all doom and gloom. I don't want to see Ncuti glow. I want to see him get a 3rd season. I'm always very disappointed if Doctors don't get at least 3 seasons, and I was kind of holding out hope that they would do a back-to-back season recording like they did before, and we'd actually get 4 seasons out of Ncuti. But if that's not the case, look, I don't want to be all doom and gloom about this. There are options here. It could be that he wanted to do this play, he went to the production team and gone, okay, I can't do a Christmas special. If you delay we're not getting a decision until May anyway. If we can have a longer gap, I'll stay for another season. We might be in that situation, in which case we won't get a Christmas special, and maybe we'll get a season 3 with Ncuti in 2020, the films in 2026, early 2026, I guess. Maybe starts in December, possibly, but it won't be ready to go out for a while after that. So we might get a late 2026 or early 2027 season 3 with Ncuti. Or he goes and we move on and see what happens with the Disney deal, see what happens with everything else. The other thing that I can't not talk about is, of course, the clip that's been doing the rounds from Newsround of Russell kind of sounding like he's talking as if there's going to be a hiatus of some kind. He's talking, we don't hear the question, which is the important thing here. We hear the question to Ncuti and to Virada, but we don't hear the question to Russell. So, you know, there's some context missing here, but it sounds like he's saying that he's talking about what happens in hiatuses, that people will always bring it back. It kind of sounds like he's priming us for that. That doesn't necessarily mean he knows that there is, but it kind of at least feels like he thinks that's a possibility that's coming up. So either Disney have made their decision already and told him and he knows already, or Disney really are going to tell him after season 2 goes out, and that's when he's going to find out as well, and he just thinks that there's a chance that that might be the situation we end up in. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it will be the situation we end up in. BBC might mount another series. And also, if we do get a hiatus, I kind of feel still that the BBC will be keen to mount a new series as soon as they can. That is inevitably going to be a little bit delayed, but I think we're probably talking about a hiatus rather than a cancelling, sort of like we got in the middle of Colin Baker's era in the 80s, where, yeah, maybe it's off air for 18 months, 2 years, and then they bring it back. That kind of feels like more likely than a full-on Wilderness Years 2.0 to me. Because we are in the era of exploiting IP. God, nobody ever lets a franchise die these days. You know, if you've got an intellectual property which you own, you're going to exploit it. And they're going to be keen to remount it as soon as they can and get something out again. What form that takes, I don't know. But look, we're not at that point yet. I think we're at the point where we can probably say Ncuti might be leaving, but even that's not for certain. We'll see. What do you think about this? Let me know in the comments below. One person in my comments on when I posted this news up on Twitter did say that one possibility for getting a Christmas special this year would be that you have a Dr. Light episode. If Ncuti was staying but he couldn't film a Christmas special, maybe what you get is he comes in for one day, films a couple of bookend scenes, and actually you get returning companions teaming up for a Christmas special. That could be quite interesting. I'd be up for that. What about you? Let me know in the comments below what you think about all this. And yeah, tomorrow, new episode. I'll be here with reviews and everything. So maybe some theory videos, depending what comes up in the episode. So don't forget to subscribe. And I'm very much looking forward to this season because, you know, all this stuff about the future of the show is I can put it to a side and just hopefully enjoy what looks like from the trailers a very exciting season.